you need to stop because
I need to stop what? Uncovering your bullshit. How you had to pay for everything for John.
At the beginning,
but you owe him $70,000?
75.
70.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 18, Episodes 5 and 6. Now, before we get started, Emily, Gina, Tamra, and Alexis Bellino, the way I'm about to be whacking y'all all throughout both episodes because y'all continue to try it. Alexis, the level of thirst that is dripping from your lips is pathetic and it's alarming. And you could say what you want, Alexis, but you low-key want to be Shannon. I think it's very strange that you're trying to adopt Shannon's mannerisms and trying to be quirky just like Shannon, and it's not landing. Now, Emily and Gina, I just hope you're ready because the way I'm about to wear you both out, especially Emily. Emily, the hate and jealousy in your heart towards Jenn needs to be studied. And you think that we can't see it. But Miss Mamas, you are green with envy. Whatever it is about Jenn rattles you to your core because every time she gets brought up, you're talking about her money. Why do you care? Are you paying Jenn's bills? Does she owe you the rent? So again, I don't understand why you feel the need to bash this woman every second you get. Now, Gina, you and that sorry confessional look are about to get it today because, girl, you look a mess. And Miss Tamra, it's going to be you and I today, so I hope you're ready and I hope you're seated. But y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up episode 5 with Heather and Terry. They're at their penthouse in Newport Beach. Remember, they have a penthouse at the Balboa Country Club. So it's Valentine's Day, and Heather is telling Terry all about what went down at Katie's golf event, how the whole situation about them calling the paparazzi on themselves, they're still talking about that. So Terry says they're still talking about that paparazzi stuff. I thought that was put to bed last season. And I said, Terry, I thought the same too. But you know how this group is, very thirsty for a storyline, and the girls are so envious of Heather, they just want to get her on something. So now Terry says, honestly, you know me. I love the paparazzi, so if there is a number to call for them to take pictures of us, I'm down for it because I love it. And Terry and Heather have made it very clear that Terry is the more fame-hungry one out of the both of them. He was the one who pushed her to join the Housewives. She wasn't here for it, but he was like, no, babe, I want you to do this. It would be great because he wanted to be seen. So I believe, Terry, that if there is a number to call for paparazzi, he would be first in line because he loves the attention. And like I said in a previous recap, let's just say that Heather and Terry do call the paparazzi on themselves. Who the F cares? That does not affect anybody's life in the least bit. So even if they are doing that, I don't know why anybody in this group cares. And I also feel like there's competition amongst all these housewives about who gets the most media attention. Because let's be clear, anybody who is a reality star, a celebrity, a content creator, an influencer, you want the attention. Nobody goes into this line of work trying to be shy and trying to be hidden. You want to be seen. You want that notoriety. You enjoy pictures being taken of you. You enjoy people knowing who you are. So miss me with all that, oh, well, I can't believe that she would do that and I would never do that. Like, who cares? Stop. Because you're on this show because you like the attention. And if you guys had the funds to call up paparazzi for yourselves, you would do it too. So again, this is all a matter of jealousy because you're angry that Heather and Terry get a lot of media coverage and you guys don't. Now, mind you, it's Valentine's Day, so Heather is expecting Gina and Jenn to come over and join her for Galentine's. So now we cut to a parallel scene with Katie at home, and she's expecting Shannon to come over. Now, Katie, even though I'm not here for you, I thought it was sweet that you had flowers and you had chocolate for Shannon. You were like, oh, Shannon, you're my Valentine. I thought that was sweet. And Katie, you have a lovely home. I'll give you 2 points for that and that nice charcuterie tray. I said, okay, girl, I love a good spread, but you're still on my shit list for how you did Heather. So Shannon comes over, Katie gives her the flowers and the chocolates, And she goes on to say how much she likes Shannon. She really enjoys how she can banter and joke around with Shannon, and they have a good time. So Katie's asking Shannon, how did she enjoy the golf event yesterday? And Shannon says it was great not to have Alexis there. And any scene without Alexis is chef's kiss. So Katie says, I'm happy to hear that. I wanted you to have a good time. You're going through enough as is. Then she goes on to add that she's aware that Shannon and Tamra still have beef, but they were pleasant with each other at golf. So Shannon says, look, between the mess that happened with you and Heather, I was not trying to add more fuel to the fire by getting into it with Tamra. But then she adds that she does want to have a conversation with Tamra soon. Now, Shannon, I feel like let that ship sail. When it comes to you and Tamra, it's the same thing. You guys are on this really dysfunctional roller coaster ride of a friendship. The way y'all will go at each other's throats, then you'll make up and say, oh, well, you're my sister, you're my best friend, and then you guys vow to be friends again. It's too toxic. It's time to get off the ride. It's just not in the cards for you to be friends with Tamra. Tamra does not know how to be a friend. I really feel like Tamra, at her core, hates women. The way we've watched her throughout, the last 15 years on this show, anytime she feels threatened by somebody, she seeks to destroy them. How many conversations can you have with somebody who does not like you? Let it go. And it's very aggravating watching Tamra treat people like dirt and these women still vie for her attention. Everybody in this group has been betrayed by Tamra and they still clamor for her approval. I don't know what it is. So now Shannon says that Tamra has talked behind her back to everybody in this group and how she hasn't even checked on her since the DUI. So she has no idea what's going on with her. And I'm like, Shannon, are you surprised? Tamra does not know how to be a friend. So now we jump to another scene with Tamra and Emily going for a walk. Now, mind you, since it's Valentine's Day, we find out that it's Emily and Shane's 15th anniversary. So she's telling Tamra all about that. They're going out to dinner, and she's going to unveil her sexy photo shoot pictures to Shane. That's going to be his gift. So, of course, they bring up Katie's golf event, and it's almost like Emily has a nervous tic where she has to find a way to bring up Jenn and bash her. Tamra brings up how Emily won first place at the golf event and how she won the Prada sunglasses. Emily says, well, the sunglasses aren't really my style. I should give them to Jenn. I said, girl, what? You really can't help yourself, because I'm just confused as to why you have to find a way to bring Jenn up. And then you have Tamra's nasty self saying, oh yeah, give them to Jenn, she might need them. So now Emily's like, oh yeah, for her next trip to Vegas. So they bring up how Jenn was in Vegas last weekend, and then they're like, oh, well, you know Ryan paid for it. And I said, well, who else would pay for it? That's her man. Why are y'all so pressed about her man paying for stuff? As he should. Like, what are we saying here? Why do y'all care? And when Tamra added, oh, well, I get it because she can't just sit at home and look at her empty bank accounts. I said, really? I said, now, Tamra, let me get you together. Because, sweetheart, I'm a day one watcher of OC. You joined this show in season 3. I remember it was season 4 or season 5 when the recession hit. I think it was 2008, 2009. And when you were married to Simon, he had lost his job at the Mercedes-Benz dealership. And you were struggling. And you were sitting up there crying about how you have 3 small children and your oldest son, Ryan, and how things were tough. And you were upset because Vicky was judging you, saying, well, I mean, you go to Pilates all day, and since you're broke, you might as well get a job. You were sitting up there upset, couldn't believe that she said that to you. So now for you to turn around and do the same thing to Jenn, that's really nasty work. And what really pissed me off was when Tamra said, me and Emily are scrappy and Jenn's just not like that. Okay, Ann, who are you to judge? I just don't like how y'all are going so hard on this woman, acting like she's doing nothing when she's trying her best. She makes money from the show, just like you guys. And she has a yoga studio that she's trying to get off the ground and make some money. Don't act like she's sitting up there twiddling her thumbs. I just feel like, why do y'all care so much? And I said this before in the last recap. If I have a close friend who I know is struggling financially, and if I have the money where I'm able to help them out, there's no way that I'd be sitting up there making snide remarks, laughing at them. I would be like, hey girl, you need some money for your American Express, you need some money for your rent or this and that, I got you. Don't give it back to me, here you go. I just couldn't sit up there and let somebody that I consider a friend suffer like that. So I'm just confused as to how you can call her your friend, but you're sitting up there laughing at her saying, oh yeah, well, she can't sit there and look at her empty bank accounts and, well, she's not scrappy like us. If you have it to give, then give her some money. Help her out. Isn't that what a friend is supposed to do? Like, I just get so irritated. So now Tamra compares Jenn's problems to Shannon's problems, and she says that they're both self-induced. So now she brings up how her and Shannon barely said a word to each other at golf. And I'm like, but Tamra, if you claim that you don't like Shannon anymore, that's not your friend, why do you care so much that Shannon did not speak to you? You obviously want Shannon to give you attention. And you want to pretend like she's the pressed one, but in all reality, it's you. And now they bring up the drama between Heather and Katie. So Emily says, all I have to say about that is if you're going to go up against Heather Dubrow, you need to have all your ducks in a row, because with Heather, she's going to tear you apart every single time. And I said, Emily, please shut up, because the way you were egging Katie on in the last episode to go and tell Heather that you knew all this information about her and expose her for lying, and now you want to say, well, when it comes to Heather, watch out, have all your ducks in a row. Like, stop it. Because if you really cared about Katie's well-being and Katie not going at it with Heather, you would have told Katie, girl, I wouldn't do this if I were you. Keep your mouth shut and let this go. But you guys were egging her on at girls' night, saying, oh yeah, let Heather know that you have the receipts on her. Yeah, tell her off, girl. Yeah, I would do it if I were you. And now it's, well, Katie, R.I.P., we might be going to her funeral soon. Shut up. And that's why I was rolling my eyes when we flip back to Katie and Shannon talking. And Katie says that she feels like Gina hung her out to dry because Gina ultimately is afraid of Heather. I said, girl, if you've been watching this show, you should have known that. Gina is messy as hell, she's two-faced, and she's a snake, and she cannot be trusted. Gina sets you up for failure. So now we flip right back over to Heather, and Gina and Jenn arrive. So they sit down to have their Galentine's Day filled with face masks and eye masks. And now Gina says, just so you know, I'm really sorry about what happened at the golf event yesterday in regards to Katie. So Heather's like, I'm confused and I'm irritated. Like, what the F was that about? Every single time Gina is called out for being messy and stirring the pot, she always backtracks and lies. So as usual, Gina's making excuses and she's like, well, I thought that you and Katie would hit it off because you're both my friends. And the way Heather said, girl, I expect you as my friend to tell her to not do something like that, period. I said, exactly, Heather, get her again. So now you have Gina pulling more stuff out of her ass, and she says, well, honestly, I didn't really know her long enough to think that she would do this. I didn't think that this was indicative of her character. And Heather's like, well, since you mention it, how long have you known Katie? So Gina says, I met her a couple months ago through Sutton. And Heather's like, okay, but when did she tell you all this stuff about me and the paparazzi? So Gina says, well, she told me this prior to Sutton's Christmas party. Gina, you have always been the definition of feeling like you are smarter than the audience. Baby girl, we see right through you. Because you admitting that you were sitting on this information for months on end prior to this season filming says that you put Katie up to this so that you and Katie could have a storyline this season. Because let's be so for real, other than this Travis situation, you don't have much to talk about. So this was clear that you and Katie set this up so that you guys could have a strong and robust storyline. And now it's blown up in your face and Heather is pissed. And now you want to sit up here and backtrack and blame everybody else but yourself. Because if you really did care for Heather as a friend, like you claim, the minute Katie opened up her mouth with this BS about, oh, well, I have receipts that she does call paparazzi on herself, you would have picked up the phone and called Heather immediately and told her what Katie was talking about. because that's what friends do. But the fact that you sat on this information for all this time and then now are revealing it when the cameras go up, that's shady. And Heather, I told you when I met you that Gina is not your friend. Gina is a user, a loser, and a leech. And you made a big mistake trusting her. She does not have your back. I was here for Heather getting all the way in Gina's ass. She said, I wish you would have told me this earlier. So now Gina's like, well, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I effed up. And I said, no, you don't have the right to be angry at Heather for pressing you. I don't like that. You sat up there, ran your mouth, you were being messy, and now you want to give this half-assed apology, being upset that Heather's angry at you. That's not how it works. Take your licks, take it on the chin like a woman, and say, you know what, Heather, I'm wrong, you're right, and I'm sorry. I was being messy, and I've been caught. I hope you can forgive me in due time. Heather makes it clear that going forward, she's going to keep her distance from Katie. She says, look, y'all are both grown women. I'm not going to tell you who to be friends with, but I would just watch my back because obviously this woman does not have the best character. This next scene with Emily and Shane at their anniversary dinner, absolutely not. I don't care. We're moving right on along. So now we flip over to Gina and Katie meeting up for coffee. Now it's a bit tense because obviously with everything going left between Katie and Heather, Katie obviously feels hurt. She feels like Gina played her, and she did. But Katie, like I said, you played yourself going along with this in the first place. So anyhow, they sit down, they're catching up. Katie's asking Gina about Travis, and Gina says that they're trying to figure it out. Obviously, they want to make it work. And I said, respectfully, I do not give a damn about Gina and Travis. I don't care about this storyline. Leave us alone. Their relationship always gave 2 rebounds who are together to split the household bills to make things easier. That's it, and that's all. So now Gina points out how tired Katie looks, and Katie says that, yeah, she does feel a bit tired because the golf event didn't go the way she wanted it to go, and she feels abandoned by Gina. So she goes on to say that Gina totally took Heather's side and how there's a way to stay neutral, but Gina was not neutral in the least bit. So Gina says that she did have Katie's back because she told Katie days prior to keep her mouth shut about this. Now, let's play the tapes back, Miss Girl, because that's a lie. When Katie came to your house to give you the outfit, you told her, if you don't bring this up, then I'm going to. So you need to fess up and tell Heather what you've been saying. Did you not say that, Gina? Again, Gina, you're a liar. Every time you're called out, your first instinct is to lie. You always conveniently forget what you said. You pretty much forced Katie to bring this up to Heather because you said that you were going to say something. Just say that you set this girl up to fail because you wanted some drama. And what really ticks me off with Gina is the way she speaks to people, especially when they're calling her out, because she says, I'm not going to sit here and support your bullshit. I said, wait, what? I said, girl, you're always on some BS every time we see you. And if I were Katie, I would have cursed you clean out. Like, girl, who the F are you talking to? And Gina, you need to slap whoever styled you because that confessional look is a fool. You looked crazy. That messed up wig cocked to the side like that, not even on your head properly. Then that dress, girl, I don't know what that was giving. You look a mess. Again, I just don't know what producer saw you and said, let's have her on The Real Housewives. I'm still baffled by that to this day. So you have Gina making this all about her. She says that she's between a rock and a hard place. And then she says, honestly, I should have Heather's back even more, and Heather's friendship is more important to her. And I'm just like, really, girl? So now Heather's friendship is more important to you, but a few episodes prior, you were egging Katie on to expose Heather about these paparazzi pictures. Got it. So now you have Gina really berating Katie, and she says, look, Katie, I'm not going to jeopardize my friendship with Heather because of your choices. And I said, really, Gina? Damn, it's like that? You want to pin this all on Katie when you set her up? Really, girl? We're really doing this? Now, Katie, even though I don't care for you because you really messed up in my book, going after Heather in the first place about some drama that was put to bed and you weren't even on the show then. But despite all that, sis, I actually felt sorry for you when you started crying and you were like, I really do love Gina, and I feel like all the conversations that I had prior have been used against me. Then she goes on to say, I feel like an idiot. And I say, damn girl, I actually feel sorry for you because you really let yourself be played by Miss Gina. So now you have Gina giving some raggedy apology saying, look, I feel bad if you're crying. That's not my intention. It's a really sticky situation for me, but I really do feel bad. And I said, Gina, leave Katie alone. The damage has been done. Nobody wants to hear you backtrack now and then talk about how bad you feel about you're in the middle of two friends. Stop it. So now we jump to another short scene with two losers. Oops, I mean Alexis and Tamra. We see Tamra over at Alexis Bellino's house, and Tamra's joking around about how the Alexis from 10 years ago is not the same Alexis now because this Alexis is fun and just really warm and kind. Now I said, this is BS. You just have a new ally in hating Shannon, because let's be so for real. Tamra could not stand Alexis when Alexis was on this show. The way she ran that woman off this show, calling her Jesus jugs, she just hated everything about Alexis. So now you want me to believe that you and Alexis are just like this now? And Alexis, you're a pick-me when it comes to friendships, because why do you want to be friends with somebody who could not stand you for years? It's just very weirdo behavior, but again, I digress. So they're catching up, and now Tamra brings up Gina's upcoming dinner party and how she invited everybody in the group chat. So Alexis says, oh yeah, I saw that, but how come Katie didn't invite me to the golf event? And I said, girl, why do you care so much? I said, Alexis, you are too grown to be whining over not being invited somewhere. Grow up. You're not always going to be invited. It's okay. And let's be so for real. The only reason why you want to go to these events is because you want to antagonize Shannon. That's it. Tamra loves to stir the pot. So she's like, well, Katie didn't invite you because she likes Shannon and she thought that it would be disrespectful to have you there if Shannon was coming. So obviously she's picked a side. So now you have Alexis saying, you're gonna pick Debbie Downer over me, Lexi? Like, I'm fun. Like, who doesn't want Lexi at your event? I said, since when do you call yourself Lexi? Like, girl, you're just so weird. And then trying to do all the mannerisms like Shannon. I'm like, girl, you're not Shannon. Just be yourself, girl. I promise you, it will be okay. And the gag is, you really think that Shannon is pressed over you when it's the other way around. And I also thought it was weird when Alexis started asking Tamra all about Shannon at the golf event. When she was like, oh, so what happened between you guys at golf? And I'm like, why do you care? If you can't stand Shannon, why do you care about what's going on between Tamra and Shannon? Shannon is running laps in both of y'all's heads because I'm not understanding how you guys talk about somebody that you claim that you can't stand. So Tamra says nothing happened. It was cool. I have no issue being cordial. And now Alexis cuts in saying that as your friend, I'm well aware about the last 10 years of your friendship with Shannon. She's done a lot of stuff to you. And I said, again, you've been out the loop, you've been out the circle for over a decade. How would you know the inner workings of Tamra and Shannon's friendship? So Tamra agrees and says that their friendship was a lot. It was very traumatizing because there was always some drama going on with Shannon. And then she goes on to say that when Shannon would call her, her kids would say, Mom, don't pick up the phone. And I said, really? I said, I find that hard to believe because Ryan is a grown man with his own family. One of your kids doesn't talk to you. And don't the other kids live with Simon? So what kids are telling you don't pick up the phone for Shannon? Again, it's no shade, but I just don't know if I believe that whole thing about her kids were saying, oh, Mom, don't pick up the phone. I said, okay, girl, I guess. So then she says that even Eddie would tell her, don't pick up the phone, it's too much. And I said, again, Tamra, I'm not buying it. I think that you're just a hateful person, and now you want to turn this around and act like Shannon was an awful friend to you. Because when we saw you guys together, you guys always had a great time. Now Tamra adds that when Shannon was married to David, she felt sorry for her. When she needed somebody to talk to, Shannon wasn't there for her. So now this turns into a full-blown let's bash Shannon, because Alexis says somebody like her needs rehab. So Tamra agrees, and then she says, but instead of rehab, she went to some therapy session teaching her not to date bad guys. So of course, Alexis gets defensive and puts on her cape for her man, Johnny J, as she calls him. And she's like, honestly, Johnny has barely had a drink since we've been together. I said, okay, girl, I guess. So of course, Tamra can't help herself. And she's like, it's just so weird hearing you talk about John, because the picture that's been painted when he was with Shannon is completely different. Shannon was always telling us how John never paid for anything. So now Tamra adds more fuel to the fire, and she says she told me how she borrowed 60 grand from John. So now Alexis jumps in and says actually it was 75,000. So now you have Alexis talking tough, and she's like, look, I have all the receipts, because if you're going to come after the man that I'm about to marry and try to ruin our reputations, she'll need another facelift to pick her job off the floor, because I'm not having that. I said, Alexis, let's stop with all this rah, rah, rah. You wouldn't bust a grape, so just stop. And I think it's pretty pathetic that you have all this smoke over a man who could decide to change his mind tomorrow and not want to be with you. You're doing an awful lot. And again, why are you acting like this is your first boyfriend? You should be used to male attention. I'm just not getting why you feel so threatened and so bothered by Shannon. If that was Shannon's experience with John, you can't discredit her for saying her experience. Also, Alexis, let's not act like the same man won't be a different person for two different women. He might treat this woman like trash and then treat the next woman like a princess. And both women aren't lying about their experiences, they're both telling the truth. But how dare you act like Shannon is lying? And also, hun, you should be a bit embarrassed that you're with a man who's asking another woman for money. Because you could say what you want, when him and Shannon were together, him giving her that money for that facelift, consider that a gift. And him asking for this money back is like asking for a gift back, and that's tacky. And again, I just feel like any man worth his salt would never ask a woman for her money. So now it's the night of Gina's dinner party, and I'm not gonna hold you. When we see Gina pull up to that restaurant and we see that she got a private room, I was shocked, because we have yet to see Gina host anything. And this dinner party looked really nice. The restaurant was pretty. I said, are we sure that Gina paid for this? I just can't see Gina paying for an elegant dinner party. Now, if this were a dinner party at Chili's or Applebee's, maybe I could believe it. The way y'all really don't understand my dislike for Gina. Now we see Emily, Alexis, and Tamra arrive. And it was so funny because Tamra was wearing the same outfit that Gina's wearing in her confessional. So Gina's like, well, I think I wore it better. And I said, no, you didn't. And while I don't like Tamra, I can always give people their 10s. Tamra looked really good in that outfit. And also, Gina, I think another reason why your outfits don't eat, they don't give what they should give, I think it's because of your posture. You just slouching around like that. I'm like, girl, stand up straight. Sit up, stand up. Like, again, when the producers saw Gina, I just don't know what was going through their heads to say, hey, let's have her on the show. If I have any Gina fans, God bless you for still listening this far. So now we see Katie and Heather arrive. And now Emily's joking about how, since there's so much drama in the group, it makes the seating arrangements kind of hard. because Heather is not trying to sit next to Katie. You know that Alexis, Shannon, and Tamra have friction, so they're not trying to be next to each other either. So it's a bit of a challenge. So now we cut to Shannon and Vicky in the car together. They're on their way, and Shannon says that she's happy that Vicky's coming tonight because she knows that Vicky will have her back when it comes to the BS with her and Tamra and her and Alexis. So now we cut right back to everybody else at the restaurant, and Alexis is acting so weird towards Katie. She's like, "Hey Katie, how are you?" Katie's like, "Oh, I'm good, how are you?" And now Alexis says, "Well, I heard that you had a golfing event the other day. So what was the thought process behind leaving certain people out?" And I said, "Alexis, you are too grown to be this pressed about being left out. Also, Alexis, you're only a friend of the show. So if a full-time cast member leaves you out, you really don't have the right to be upset because, again, you're just a friend of. I'm so sorry, Alexis, but it reeks of insecurity when you are still pressed about being left out. At some point, you have to be okay with not being invited to everything. It's all right. And Katie is better than me because the way I would have paid you does, I'll be damned if somebody's going to question me about, well, why didn't you invite me? Because I didn't want to. So now you have Tamra jumping in, and I said, "Tamra, shut up. It's not your fight. You don't have to be the spokesperson for Alexis. Alexis is a grown woman. Let her fight her own battles. Why are you jumping in?" So she's like, "Honestly, Katie, you have to understand where Alexis is coming from." So now Alexis starts whining, and she's like, "It's not fair. It's not fair." And I was thinking, what's happening right now? You're still on the fact that you weren't invited? Get over it. So now we see Shannon and Vicky finally arrive, and Tamra is shook. She's talking about the Wicked Witch of the West and how Shannon brought Vicky to have backup so she can look like the victim. I said, "Oh, isn't that you? Are you not talking about yourself? Because you do the same thing. You set people up to do your bidding." Alexis really tried it when she said to Vicky, "Hey Vicky, welcome to my world." And now Vicky was like, "Girl, are you serious right now? Like, sit down, bitch. I'm not the one."
Look who's in my world now.
Oh, I was like, world, sit down, bitch.
What's wrong with this woman? She sued Tamra, and now you want to be friends with her? She's gone Lulu turns. She's gone cookie.
You could say what you want about Vicky, and while I have mixed feelings about Miss Vicky Gunvalson, she's been on this show since the beginning. And none of these other women can say the same thing. So Alexis Bellino, I would pipe down if I were you, talking about, "Oh, welcome to my world." What? OC is the house that Vicky built, not the other way around. Now here's where things go left. And Shannon, you are a lot nicer than I am because I would have worn Tamra out. I would have went to the gutter with it because the audacity and just the level of hate that is in Tamra's heart. Because the waiter comes over to ask Shannon and Vicky what they want to drink. So Shannon says that she wants a Belvedere soda, and you have Tamra at the other end of the table say loudly for everybody to hear, "Oh yeah, exactly what an alcoholic should do, drink." So it's real quiet. And I said, again, Tamra, Shannon should have worn you out. Tamra is not trying to help Shannon. Tamra is enjoying looking down her nose at Shannon. She's enjoying berating her and reminding her of what a failure she is. That's the type of person that Tamra is. Tamra is not interested in lifting anybody up. She only wants to tear you down. And if she can embarrass you and humiliate you and remind you of all your faults and all your mistakes and all your weaknesses, she will do that. And that's not a friend, that's an enemy. So Vicky jumps in to defend Shannon, and she says she can have a drink, she just can't have a drink and get behind the wheel. That's it. So Tamra starts screaming that Shannon has a problem, and now Shannon cuts in and she's like, "Tamra, you've been doing this with me for the past 10 years. Please stop. I think about what I did every single day." So now you have Tamra jumping back in and she's like, "Oh, is that after you have a drink?" And I said, Shannon, it would have been at this point where I would have said, "Let's talk about how your own child doesn't speak to you. Let's talk about that." If Shannon had brought that up, Tamra would have wanted to fight. Tamra gets very emotional anytime somebody brings that up. So for her to try to embarrass Shannon like this, it's mind-boggling. And you know it's bad when even Gina and Emily jump in and they even tell Tamra that she's going too far. They were both like, okay, I understand that she got the DUI, but to sit up here and berate her like this, that's not right. So Tamra, Shannon, and Vicky are going at it. And now you have Shannon stand up. She's livid. And she's like, I called you twice. We spoke on the phone twice. I told you what happened. And now you have Tamra saying, and you were drunk both times. So Shannon's like, no, I wasn't. So now you have Tamra saying, lie, 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 lie. So now you have Tamra going off saying that she's so tired of this BS and how Shannon was going around saying that she paid for everything with John, but now she owes John 75 grand. And I said, girl, why are you bringing this up? Like, what does Shannon and this lawsuit with John have to do with anything? Why are you even talking about that? But like I said, you live to embarrass somebody. So now Emily jumps in because Emily always wants a moment. She's so starved for attention. And she's like, wait, why does Shannon owe John money? So Alexis jumps in and she's like, facelift and a loan. I said, Alexis, girl, you really want to take Shannon down so bad, and for what? For this sorry ass dude that you're with? Like, do you see yourself? Get a grip. Again, are you well? Because what is going on? So now you have Alexis pointing to her phone. She says that she has the receipts and the wire transfers. I said, girl, you have the wire transfers? Do you not see how crazy you look? You look insane. This is pure loser behavior. I would be embarrassed. Shannon is so disgusted. She walks out. I would have done the same. I was pissed for Shannon. I said, they're lucky because if I were Shannon, I would have turned that table over. I mean, I would have turned Tamra and Alexis every which way but loose because they tried it. So now you have Emily talking about liar, liar, Spanx on fire. I'm like, Emily, you're such an easy read because, girl, the way I would be, y'all, I really don't know who I dislike more. I don't know if I dislike Emily more or Alexis or Tamra or Gina. I don't know. But they are all in the running for housewives that I cannot stand. They are all insufferable. Vicky is disgusted. She's like, Alexis, why are you involved in all this? And I said, exactly. Because Alexis is a weirdo and she wants to be on this show so badly. She just wants a moment. Because again, I'm confused as to why she has inserted herself in the Shannon and John drama. Stay out of it. But Alexis says that she's doing this because Shannon has demolished John's reputation. And I said, girl, John did that to himself. I was screaming when a producer asked Alexis, why is she so confident that John is telling the truth? And she says, because we're together 24/7, I know. I said, girl, do you not know men? You could be up under a man 24/7, 365, and he could still find a way to lie and cheat. So for you to think that because you guys are together 24/7 that you know that he's telling the truth, how old are you, 15? Like, you're a grown-ass woman talking so stupid. So we see Shannon by the restroom. She's upset. She's crying. Jenn is the only one who goes out to check on her. And she's like, first off, it was one payment of $35,000 and then it was $30,000. Altogether, he gave me 65 grand. That's it. Shannon made a great point when she said the only reason why he wants this money back is because he's spending too much right now. And I said that earlier in this recap. I see right through John. He's trying to build this facade that he has all this money to wine and dine Alexis when he actually doesn't. And now that the well has run dry, he needs to re-up and call up Shannon and get that money back. That's all this is. He's just trying to keep up this facade like he has it like that when he actually doesn't. So Shannon goes on to say that they have no idea about John Jansen and he's a monster, and she's emotional about it. Again, Shannon, I believe you. I think that he's another user who's out here hunting for housewives. He reminds me of Louis, Teresa's new husband from Jersey. Because let's not forget how Louis was trying to hook up with Alexia from Miami before he got with Teresa. A lot of these guys are users and grifters, and they're looking for a payday. And they're out here preying on these housewives who, while they might have fame and money and they look good, they're also very desperate for love. So now we cut to everybody back at the table, and Vicki gets up to check on Shannon. So as she's walking over to Shannon, we see Tamra get up, and she's like, hey, Vicki, I just want to tell you that I didn't back out of Tres Amigas because of you. I just did it because I didn't feel right about us doing a show about drinking, knowing that Shannon had the DUI. So now Vicki says that girl over there, referring to Shannon, she needs a hug. And of course, Tamra just can't be a kind person. She says that Vicki is enabling Shannon, and Vicki says, no, I'm not. So now we see Alexis saying that she won't deal with liar face anymore. I'm like, girl, how old are you? Liar face? That's the best you've got? You're really going this hard for a man that you're not even married to. And even Emily pointed out how Alexis is making herself look bad by being John's defender. Like, let us get to know you, but the fact that you're going so hard for this man, it's enough already. And now you have Heather jumping in, and she tells Alexis to tone it down and just stop it. Now, I thought it was ironic when Vicki stood up and said, I don't like this. This is so toxic. I know that you guys are all believers. We all believe in Jesus Christ. We're all Christians. We don't do this to other women. And I said, now hold on, Miss Mamas, because what we won't do is pretend like we haven't done the same. Vicki has also been diabolical during her time on OC. Let's not forget, for all my OG OC watchers, remember season 4 when Gretchen joined the show? And let's really talk about how jealous Vicki and Tamra were of Gretchen's looks. Let's not forget that season 4, season finale, when they tried to get Gretchen naked wasted, remember that? That was disgusting. And the way everybody clocked you like, okay, Vicki, like that's nice and all, sis, but you have not been the greatest example of showing the love of Christ. But the dinner is over, everybody gets up to leave, and I'm like, damn, did you guys even eat? It was a whole bunch of yelling and cursing and receipts being thrown. I did not see a morsel of food being eaten, just a hot mess. So now we get to episode 6, and I'm not going to hold you, but episode 6 was cute, but it definitely gave filler episodes, so we're not going to be going over every single thing. And there was too much Alexis in this episode, so we will definitely be skipping over a lot. I'm not even going to hold you, all right? I'm gonna be very honest. I don't have a whole lot to say about episode 6, but we're going to make it work. So we open up this episode with Heather and Emily meeting up at this party store for decorations for Easter. So Heather says, last night at Gina's dinner, it was a whole lot happening. All hell broke loose. And Emily says, yeah, I wasn't nice last night. So now Heather's like, yeah, I saw that. What happened with you and Jenn? You were talking to her about money and a Rolex. Like, what was that about? So Emily says, it's not about the money, it's about integrity. And we see a flashback from Gina's dinner, and Emily's yelling, if you owe a bunch of people money, why are you walking around with a Rolex? You're so effing stupid. Just sell it for the money and pay your bills. When I saw that clip, I was livid. I said, had Jenn thrown a drink in Emily's face, I would not have been mad. Because Emily, you have been on this woman's ass for the last 5 episodes about her money and her bills. Leave her alone. You do realize that she's well aware of her financial situation, right? And for you to keep reminding her of that every time you see her, what is your problem? Also, Emily, you don't realize how jealous you're coming across? Because it seems to me that you are looking Jenn up and down every time you see her. Because for you to notice that she has a new Rolex, girl, didn't Shane just buy you a new ring for your anniversary? You should be so focused on your new jewelry that you don't even have time to focus on what Jenn has. But you are so laser focused on her because you're jealous. And that's what jealousy does. You become obsessed with them. And Emily has become obsessed with Jenn. Everything Jenn does, Emily knows. Every move Jenn makes, Emily is aware of it. Isn't that a bit weird? Jenn triggers you, Emily. If she did not trigger you, you would not care what she did. If Jenn has 10 Rolexes on her wrist, what is it to you? And again, what would you have if you did not have Shane? Because let's not forget that you and Shane live off of Shane's parents, because Shane comes from a wealthy family. If his parents should cut Shane off, what will you have? You need to focus on your own life. And again, I really feel like you're really mad and you're triggered because you're envious of how Jenn looks. I think it really eats you up that despite Jenn's financial hardship, she still looks good. And it also feels like, are you jealous because you don't have a Rolex and you feel like you should have a Rolex before Jenn because you have more money than Jenn? Is that what it is? Because again, I'm just confused as to how you're able to clock everything that Jenn has. You're too focused on her. Focus on yourself. If you put 1/10 of the attention that you spend on Jenn on yourself, girl, the way you could really be that girl, Emily, you sound insane. And I have secondhand embarrassment watching you crash out because Jenn has you so rattled. Jenn is running laps in your head, and you need to get a handle on that. It's not a good look. And this new mean girl persona that you're trying to adopt, it's not you. You look corny. You look sad. Stop trying to play this villain. You're not Tamra. Just be yourself. But I don't think that you know who you really are. I feel sorry for you. Like, I low-key pity you, Emily, because you have a lot of insecurity, you have a lot of self-doubt, and instead of taking that time to work on you and be the best you that you can, you're too focused on Jenn. And I caught that shade that you threw about, and her Rolex doesn't even work because I asked her what time it is and she couldn't even tell me. I said, oh my gosh, you are so hateful. Are you serious right now? Like, what's going on in your head? And if I were Jenn, I would really piss you off because, see, I'm petty and I love to spend money. That's my favorite activity, right? So I would come back with another Rolex, and then on top of that, I come back with a Van Cleef set and a Cartier love bracelet. Like, I would, the next time you saw me, my whole wrist would be iced out. Like, don't play with me.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
And now we cut to a parallel scene with Jenn and Tamra at the beach. Now, Jenn, the way Tamra threw that napkin in your face last season, me and Tamra would never be cool like that. It would be group settings only, hi, bye, that's it. I just think that you're a bit too nice to still try to extend friendship to Tamra. We would not be meeting up at the beach for anything. So they're talking about Gina's dinner last night, and Jenn brings up how Emily attacked her again about her financial situation. And she's like, I don't understand. Why does she keep getting on me? Does she think that I'm less than? And I said, no, Jenn, wake up. It's jealousy. She wants to be you. She's upset that you still look great despite all that you're going through. That's what it is. So Tamra's like, yeah, I saw that. Maybe you should talk to her. She might be going through something. I said, Tamra, she's not going through anything. So now they change topics, and Jenn decides to spill some tea about a conversation that she had a few days earlier with Gina and Shannon. She says that Gina was expressing how she feels about Tamra and Emily's new friendship and how it seems like it's a battle of who can be the bigger bitch, and she feels like Emily has changed since being friends with Tamra. So of course Tamra's defensive because God forbid you tell Tamra anything about herself, she's upset. So she's like, wait, is that my fault? So Jenn's like, no, it's not about it being your fault. She's just noticed that there have been changes since you and Emily have gotten closer. And we'll talk about this later on in the episode because we see that this conversation resurfaces in La Quinta, but it's definitely not lost on me that Emily is changing since being friends with Tamra. It's almost like she's trying to morph into a Tamra Jr. because in a lot of her confessionals, she keeps making comments about how she's always been a mean girl and, you know, she's always been a bitch and all this stuff. And I'm like, girl, not really. You've always been a wannabe, but for you to act like you're so bold and just so tough, it's not really that. It's just that you now have the courage to really go all out since Tamra has your back. Nobody's going to challenge you or mess with you because people are afraid of Tamra. That's all this is. Don't act like you were always the biggest bitch because, again, when Tamra was over there calling you Shrek, you were crying. So now the conversation turns into the issues between Shannon and Tamra, and Jenn says, where do you guys stand because you do go a bit hard? So Tamra says, well, I only go hard because I care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't go so hard. I said, girl, you will not sit up here and play in our faces and lie to us like this. You go hard on everybody, friend or not. You don't care about anybody on this cast. You're not a friend to anybody. That's why you go hard. And with friends like you, who needs an enemy? And in true Tamra fashion, she goes on a rant about how Shannon is always a victim all the time and she can't take it anymore and doesn't want to talk about this. I said, of course you don't want to talk about it because you know that how you showed your ass at Gina's dinner last night was unacceptable. So now we cut to another scene with Gina and Katie meeting up to go shopping. So Gina's like, hey, how are you? What's going on? Last night at the dinner, you seemed a bit distant. So Katie says, well, that's because I wasn't trying to start anything with me and Heather. So now we cut to a confessional with Katie, and Katie says that right now, she's a bit weary of her friendship with Gina. And I said, as you should be, because like I said, Gina is nobody's friend. Gina is a snake in the grass. She's very two-faced, and she will throw you under the bus and lie about her involvement in the mess in a heartbeat. She does that every single time. So now Gina's giving her sob story about how her and Heather talked a few days ago, and Heather is pissed off at her, but she's going through all this mess with Travis, so she can't even handle Heather and her emotions right now. And then she says that Heather is too sensitive. I said, now, Gina, you have no right to be irritated with anybody but yourself. You started all this mess. You were egging Katie on. You didn't warn Heather about this mess with Katie. So I don't feel any way about Katie and Heather being upset with you because you deserve it. In the words of Monique, when you do clownery, the clown comes back to bite. So now we see Miss Shannon Bador join them, and they're like, hey girl, how are you? What's up? You look a bit tired. And Shannon says, that's because I am. I didn't sleep well last night. Then she goes on to say that she woke up to a letter from John Jansen's lawyer saying that she owes John $75,000 plus interest. I said, not interest. So Gina's like, you do realize that this is the second man that Alexis Bellino has been with that has sued you. And Shannon says, yeah, I know. And I don't know if it's just me, but I'm starting to think that Alexis is behind all these lawsuits because it's not adding up for me. So now Shannon says that she was floored by what Tamra was saying to her last night at the dinner, and she says that those are very defamatory statements. So Gina's like, look, you've been through a lot, you need a break, so how about we all go on a girls trip to La Quinta? I have Elizabeth Vargas's listing. She's going to let me use the house. So let's just do that on Thursday. And now we find out from Katie that on that same day, Tamra invited her, Alexis, and Jenn to her house in Big Bear. So she's going to be going to Big Bear and not La Quinta. Now, in my opinion, when we saw how both trips played out, I would have picked La Quinta over Big Bear any day. Because being with Tamra, Jenn, Alexis, and Katie, that's not my idea of a good time. And now we flip back to Heather and Emily invites Heather to La Quinta to join her, Shannon, and Gina. So Heather's like, look, I'm game, that sounds good, but I don't want to be called inappropriate if I bring up the whole mess between me and Gina because I am pissed. And Emily's like, no, you're fine. I'm the inappropriate one, remember? And I said, Emily, girl, you're more than inappropriate. You're insufferable, you're obnoxious, you're rude, you're thirsty, you're mean, you're insecure, and the list goes on and on. So now it's the day of both girls' trips, and when I tell you the group going to La Quinta, Shannon, Heather, Gina, and Emily, they were only staying there for one night. Shannon had all this food. She had chili in a crock pot. You have Heather bringing a grill for hot dogs. And I mean, Shannon brought all this food. I was just like, girl, you guys are only staying for one night. Heather even says the same thing. Heather was like, girl, we're only there for one night and we're all on Ozempic anyway, so we can't even eat like that. Now, when we cut to Emily packing her truck, and Shane was like, oh, by the way, don't eat in my truck. That's how I keep it clean. And Emily's like, I'm not listening to him. I'm going to eat in there anyway. I'm like, okay. Emily just wants to feel like she's this rebel so bad. It's like, girl, enough. And I noticed how Shane didn't even help her load up her luggage in the truck. I said, girl, that's why you're really mad. And I'm so sorry, but I'm still in disbelief that Shane and Emily have been married for 15 years. I don't see any chemistry between them at all. I'm still in disbelief that they have sex. Like, I really don't believe it. But we see them on the road to La Quinta, and they were all hungry, so they stopped at Jack in the Box. Shannon is so dramatic. She's like, can I see the menu? She hops out the car to look at the menu. I said, Shannon. And of course, they're eating in Shane's truck. Now again, I would have preferred to go to La Quinta versus going to Big Bear with Tamara and Alexis. No, ma'am. And even the car ride to Big Bear, Alexis is running her mouth the entire time about John. I'm like, again, Alexis, how old are you? Why are you acting like this is the first man you've ever been with? But you know, I'm not really surprised because I remember when she first came on the show, when she was still married to Jim, one of the women had thrown a Tupperware party and she brought Jim with her. And there was a woman there who was asking Jim a question, and she accused the woman of flirting with Jim. She told that lady off and everything. I was just like, wait, what? And the lady was like, ma'am, I don't want your husband. He's ugly. But we do see them joke about how they're going to make Jenn an OnlyFans where she can sell feet pictures to make money. I just think that it's really messed up that they keep joking around and making digs about her finances. Instead of doing that, why don't you guys actually be some good friends? Pull your money together and write Jenn a check. But why am I surprised? Tamra is an awful friend, so you know she's not helping out anybody with some money. She's gonna make jokes and talk about you like a dog, and that will be it. But if I were Jenn, I would have told them, shut the F up, stop speaking on me and my money. If you're not going to help me, stop. So now we see them arrive to Big Bear first, and I thought it was so funny when Tamra was giving them the house tour and we saw in one of the rooms, the roof was leaking. I said, good for Tamra's ass, because the way she runs her mouth on everybody else, and I'm petty, because if I were Jenn, I'd be like, oh, are you broke, Tamra? Are you having some financial issues? Because why is your roof leaking? So now we jump right back over to Emily, Heather, Gina, and Shannon, and they pull up to Elizabeth Vargas's home in La Quinta. Now, one thing about it, Elizabeth Vargas, your home in La Quinta is stunning. I'm surprised it's only going for $9 million. I honestly feel like $9 million is too low. It should be going for like 12 or 13, but gorgeous. I don't even know why she wants to sell it. That's how pretty it is. I said, why do you want to sell this? Let me not get off topic. So Elizabeth is there. She greets them, gives them the house tour. She has a gorgeous pool. She has a pond with all these koi fish. I said, oh, she has money. Now, let me just say this. I think it's sad that Elizabeth Vargas was only able to be on the show for one season. I think that she was a bit too weird for the show. Remember, she had that weird storyline. She was getting divorced from the billionaire husband. Then she had some boyfriend on the side who she claimed that they didn't kiss and didn't have sex. It was just very strange. It was a lot going on. But she was only on for one season. And I feel like it's a shame because she has the coin. But I said, Elizabeth, if you keep showing us homes like this that are in your portfolio, we might need to get you back on. And if I also remember correctly, Gina wasn't that nice to Elizabeth when she was on the show. So I'm really shocked that Elizabeth is letting her list her home, because that's a big commission for somebody who wasn't that nice to you. But then you guys pointed out that Elizabeth probably only did that because she wants to get back on the show. So Elizabeth is done giving them the house tour and she says, you guys have fun. Don't worry about messing anything up. It'll be clean later, but I'll see you guys later. So now we see them all getting comfortable and they're all in the kitchen. And it was cute because Gina had bought them matching shirts so that they could wear for the girls' trip. So they all change into them. And now they start making martinis. They start cooking. And I don't know what it was, but Heather and Emily kept dropping the martinis on the floor. So Gina was just like, oh my gosh. Y'all are about to make a mess in here. My commission check is about to go from 500 grand to 400 grand to 200 grand to 90 grand to a $300 gift card. I have to say, it was nice to see them all just getting along and having fun, laughing and joking around. I'm like, that's what I want to see. It can't always be drama and y'all just turning up on each other all the time. Like, let's see you guys let your hair down. So now we flip back over to Tamra and all them in Big Bear, and they're getting ready to go out to dinner. And Alexis is just being so extra for attention. It's clear that Alexis loves being back on TV, and she's doing the absolute most. So as they're waiting for her to finish getting ready, we see her come down the stairs, and she's like, oh wait, let me call up John first. I'm like, you can't go a few hours without talking to John. He knows that you're on a girls' trip. Give him some space. And did anybody notice Alexis kept doing this fake Minnie Mouse laugh? I'm like, where did this laugh come from? It's just all very performative and embarrassing. So she's on FaceTime with John, or Johnny J as she calls him. And now Tamra walks over being messy and she's like, hi John, how are you? You look good. You look really ripped and really lean. Then we cut to Tamra in her confessional and she says that John looks happier, like a weight has been lifted from his shoulders. And I'm like, you're obviously talking about Shannon. I've just never seen people who claim not to like somebody bring them up at every single turn. And then for Tamra to add that she knows how much of a pain in the ass Shannon is, and she can't believe that John put up with that for so long. I just said, oh my gosh, now Shannon is the worst person? Wasn't that your good friend for 10 years? And now all of a sudden she's such a pain in the ass? Girl, stop. You don't even like Alexis. She's just an ally because you guys both don't like Shannon. So now we jump back over to the ladies in La Quinta, and they're making dinner. They're making hot dogs and the chili that Shannon brought and salad and all that good stuff. And now we see Shannon pull Emily to the side and she's like, hey girl, can we talk for a minute? So they go outside and sit down, and Shannon brings up what Gina told her a few days ago about how Gina feels like Emily has changed since she's gotten closer to Tamra. Essentially, Gina feels like Emily has gotten more aggressive and meaner being friends with Tamra. And I agree. Emily is another housewife who can never be told anything. So she's like, I can't believe this. I just feel so betrayed by Gina. If you're my best friend, why are you talking about me to other people? And I said, girl, you and Gina are two sides of the same coin. Y'all both dog people out. Y'all both talk about each other. So please stop. Also, girl, while I don't like Gina, the truth is the truth. You have gotten more aggressive and a lot meaner and nastier since you've become friends with Tamra. So Shannon's like, look, I'm not trying to start anything. I just want you and Gina to be okay, and I want you guys to address this. That's it. That's all. Now, Shannon, I love you, but let's call a spade a spade. You were trying to stir the pot and stir up some mess. So they both walk back into the kitchen to join Heather and Gina, and Emily is such a baby. She's so passive-aggressive, so immature. She's just like huffing and puffing. She has her arms folded like this. And Heather and Gina are both like, hey girl, what's wrong? Are you okay? So Emily's like, nothing, I'm fine. Obviously, she's not fine. And I said, Emily, if you're so tough, then say it with your chest and just say, Shannon just told me what you said about me behind my back, I'm pissed. But for you to stand there like a child and you're pouting and you're huffing and puffing and doing all this, like how old are you? If I were Gina, I would have paid you dust, because I'm not going to sit up here and baby you and coddle you and ask you what's wrong a million times. So here's where I was getting pissed off. They go outside to eat, and as they're eating, everybody's enjoying their food, and you have Emily still sitting there with her arms crossed, pouting. And Gina's still asking her, are you okay? Did you lose steam? Like, what's going on? So Emily's like, no, actually, I haven't lost steam. I can't even eat right now. I'm not even hungry. I said, okay, girl, we're on a cute girls trip. Take that bad attitude over there. And with me, I'm not going to sit up there and keep asking you, is everything okay? You obviously want attention, and I'm not going to give that to you. So Emily finally comes clean and she says, may I ask you a question? The night of your dinner, you said that I was aggressive towards Jenn, but then in the next breath, you say that I'm even more aggressive and meaner, and you don't even recognize me? So Gina's like, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. And I said, now Gina never remembers what she says conveniently. She will talk about you like a dog, and then when you confront her about it, now all of a sudden, she has no recollection. I said, oh my gosh, girl. So now Shannon jumps in and says, oh no, she didn't say that. She just said that you've changed. So Emily is pissed hearing this, and now she brings up the whole mess with Katie. And she's like, you were all about Katie a few days ago. You just love Katie. Then all of a sudden, you had a conversation with Heather, and now you're all about Heather, and you want to throw Katie out the door. I was screaming because the way Emily said, you will not accuse me of being aggressive. I'm going to put this all back on you, hun, and we're going to rehash your drama with Katie and Heather. I said, Emily, I see you. Emily said, you won't be getting me, I'm gonna get you right back. So now Gina says that she's disappointed in Katie, and now Heather jumps in. My girl was in her bag. She said, how are you disappointed in Katie when you knew what she was saying about me 6 months prior? I said, oop, I said, whack her again for me, Heather, please.
I'm just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
So, of course, you have Gina stuttering and stammering. She's like, honestly, I thought she was a good friend. And Heather says, really? Because you didn't know this woman from Adam, but you were so ready to believe BS that she had about me. I said, again, Heather, whack her again. Call her out on the lies, because what Gina is saying is making no sense, and she knows it. She's been caught, she's guilty, and now she wants to blame everybody else under the sun instead of taking ownership that she was dead ass wrong. So now we cut to Tamra, Alexis, Katie, and Jenn at Big Bear. They're out at dinner, and they're also talking about the whole Katie, Heather, and Gina mess. And Katie's talking about how her golf event went left. That was not the way she wanted things to go down. And Tamra says, Gina hung you out to dry, just so you know. And Katie says, yeah, I know, because 2 days prior, when I went to her house, she told me that if I didn't say anything, she would. So Tamra makes it clear that Gina played Katie, and then she goes on to say that she questions Gina's motives, and she feels like maybe Gina purposely did this to piss off Heather because she might not like Heather. And I said, now, Tamra, I know, and you know, that the majority of this group has secret animosity towards Heather because they're jealous of her wealth and her status. So you're telling us something that we, the audience, have known for years. I said it when Heather came back on the show, that Gina is not to be trusted and that Heather should watch her back when it comes to Gina, because I don't think that Gina really wants to be her friend. I think that she wants to use Heather for her resources, for her contacts, and then move on to the next person. But I have always felt like Gina secretly wants to set Heather up, and it was apparent last season when everybody turned on Heather, including Gina. And you've also been a very shitty friend to Heather too. So miss me with all that, oh, I question Gina's motives. I question your motives with everybody, especially Heather. So we're right back in La Quinta with Heather and Gina still going at it. I'm not going to hold you. I was getting tired of this argument. If I hear the word paparazzi one more time, I'm going to scream. But Heather goes on to say how this whole thing affected her family because remember, they were saying that Terry was cheating on Heather and that was the reason why Heather was calling paparazzi to quiet the rumors about him allegedly cheating. That's where the paparazzi rumors came from. So Heather says that her kids were affected by this. Her daughter Max has anxiety problems, and even her kids' friends were asking them about this as well, and it was very hard on her and her kids. So you have Gina saying, well, Shannon saying that rumor about my kids being taken away by CPS, you can't compare that to Heather Dubrow calling the paparazzi. And I said, nobody's comparing the two, but what Heather is saying is that her family was also affected by these rumors as well. She has the right to be upset at her friends accusing her of doing something that she didn't do. And even if Heather did call the paparazzi, who the F cares? That's the point. Gina, just apologize. It's almost like you just can't own up to when you're wrong. So as they're going at it, Gina tries to make herself out to be the victim like she always does. And she's like, the issue is that you don't trust me. And I'm like, well, why should Heather trust you? What you did was low down and underhanded. You're sitting up here on some information that you've known about for 6 months, and then you don't even tell me I'm blindsided at some golf event, and you want me to trust you? Like, what are you saying? And I loved how Heather was not letting Gina make it. She was like, Gina, this is BS, and you know it. I said, thank you. And I hate how anytime there's an argument with Gina, Gina loves to interject and start yelling. I don't like that. The same way Heather let you speak, let her speak. And the only reason why Gina does that is because she knows that the other person 9 times out of 10 is telling the truth about what actually happened. So they're still going at it, and now Gina's like, you're gonna believe that girl over me? And Heather says, well, you believed her over me, and now Heather starts crying, and she says that she feels betrayed by Gina. So now Gina acknowledges Heather's pain, and she says, look, I understand that you're hurt. I trusted the wrong person. I made a mistake, and I understand if it takes some time, but I am sorry, and I'm trying to sort through that. So Heather's like, look, let's just wait and see what happens. Then she goes on to say that she's willing to move on, but she's not going to forget it so fast. And I said, girl, I wouldn't forget it either. What Gina did to you is unacceptable. And I really feel like it's grounds to cut off the friendship. I honestly feel like you should have cut Gina off last season when she turned on you for no reason. You were too nice then. So now Heather's like, we're done with dinner. Let's go and have some dessert by the fire pit and let's call it a night. So now we flip to the last scene of the episode with everybody else at Big Bear. So they're back at Tamra's house and they're all in these cute little bear pajamas. So we see that Tamra bought a pie for Jenn to put her foot in for OnlyFans. So they're taking videos of Jenn's foot in the pie, and then we see Tamra lick the pie off of her feet. I'm sure Jenn could make a lot of money. People do have foot fetishes. They do pay a lot, especially seeing somebody lick a pie off of the foot. So maybe that video could garner a few $1,000s. But I just don't like how they keep mentioning Jenn's money problems. Either help her out or don't mention it. So when Tamra licked the pie off of Jenn's foot, you have Alexis in the background and she's squealing. She's like, oh my gosh, like, no, I don't want to see that. And Tamra and Jenn are both like, stop being a prude. You're over there banging 4 times a night. And so Tamra wants to know if John Jansen has a big penis. So Alexis says, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not going to tell you guys that. And Tamra's like, well, it's okay because Shannon told me that he has a huge dick. So now Alexis says, we're not going to say the S word, like don't say her name. I said, girl, you're always saying Shannon's name, so enough. You say Shannon's name more than anybody else, and now you want to say, oh, don't say the S word in front of me, like stop it. So of course, because Shannon's name has been brought up, this is Alexis's opportunity to bash her. So she says that if Shannon doesn't stop telling lies about John, then she'll stop being on this war path. And I said, girl, let John and Shannon fight it out. This is not your fight. You sound ridiculous saying that you're on a war path with another woman about a man. So she goes on to say that John is loving and kind and warm, and Shannon is out here ruining his reputation. I said, again, that is John's fault. John has single-handedly ruined his own reputation. Please stop blaming Shannon. So she goes on to say that she's so tired of John being lied about, and how when her mother passed away, he was the only one there for her. And I said, well, what about your kids? I'm sure your kids have been there for you. So now John is the only person in your life? So Alexis drops a bombshell that she has videos that could ruin Shannon's life. So Jenn and Katie are confused. They're like, wait, what videos? And Tamra cuts in and says that John has videos of the night of Shannon's DUI. So here goes Alexis, so happy to smear Shannon's name in the dirt. So she goes on to say that when she saw those videos of Shannon, she was never able to look at her the same. I said, girl, you already did not want to like Shannon, so any excuse to just hate her even more. So now Alexis goes on to add that John is ready to talk about all of this and expose Shannon if Shannon does not stop with all these lies about him. I love how Jenn is the only one with sense. She was so disgusted by Alexis. She was like, why does anybody need to see these videos? And I agree. And Alexis, if you and John do show these videos, it says more about you and John than it does about Shannon. And I hope that Shannon sues the both of y'all if you guys do release these videos. You guys are good and grown. Isn't John 60 years old? And he's gonna expose videos of his ex-girlfriend when she got a DUI? Really? Like, y'all all sound crazy. Alexis, again, you made a grave mistake coming back on TV because nobody's on your side. We're all laughing at you, not with you. The majority of us are all Team Shannon. You look pathetic. As y'all can see, I had a lot to say. OC is really giving us a phenomenal season so far, and I can't wait to see how everything unfolds. But yeah, when I tell you guys that Gina, Emily, Tamra, and Alexis, they have my blood boiling every single episode. I feel like the majority of my recaps consist of whacking the four of them constantly. But y'all, I hope you guys enjoyed the double recap. Thank you all so much for watching. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.